Yep.
We're in.
Ready. And recording.
It's live,
Yeah.
but it's recorded, so it's not live.
It's live to us.
Yeah. Let's go, baby. All right. I don't know if we're gonna have to cut all of that out, but
We might. Just because yours went red. Never seen it go red. Only yellow.
my apologies to the viewers if I'm screaming at you.
Don't use headphones
Yeah,
for the first part.
yeah, but you're good now. I'll watch myself. I'll try to be better. Yeah, man, we got a stacked show.
We do.
Yeah,
There's a lot to talk about.
yeah. Let's jump into this, man, because I don't want to be 2.5 hours again.
That's always not the goal.
Yeah, it really is. Man, we got some trailers that I wanted to talk about that I think they've been out for a while, to be honest. I just did not realize that they were, and so I hadn't seen them. But
they're not even like trailers that are previewed in like theaters or like commercial wise. Like I feel like these trailers haven't been shown off, at least anywhere that I've seen.
right, like I saw a couple for the first time on Saturday when I was at the movies, but it they definitely haven't been like floating around a whole lot compared to what I feel like they should be.
Right.
So
especially like with one of them being like Mission Impossible. I
yeah,
feel like that's a huge franchise.
yeah,
That would be
for sure. I mean, we just watched that like 2 minutes ago before we started recording this. So
yeah.
What do you think of that, man? You told me a freaking bombshell. You have never seen any of the 6 Mission Impossibles that are out.
And I probably won't see the 7th.
Really? Not interested.
No. I might get around to it eventually, but it's the same, like I was telling you, it's the same kind of genre to me as like Top Gun. They're just movies that don't necessarily look super interesting to me. Not saying that they're bad movies or anything like that, but I don't know. They never like caught my eye, and so I just never got around to like watching those kinds of movies.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's understandable. They're for sure like a different breed of action movie, I guess. I was kind of saying before we started this that I wish Fast and Furious would stop trying to be Mission Impossible, because I feel like that's what Fast and Furious has become, and it feels so unnecessary there and so over the top. Whereas honestly, there's a lot of Mission Impossibles. I guess there's only 6. There's not that many, but there's a few that are really, really good that are some of my favorite action movies. And then there's a few that I could kind of care less about. I never saw the 6th one just because of when it came out. Like I was like moving and stuff, so I just never got around to seeing that one. But I definitely want to see that 6th one, because the 7th one did look pretty cool. I don't think it looks out of the realm of like every other Mission Impossible that they've already done, but it does look like something I'd want to go see personally.
Right. Yeah, I might get around to seeing it just because I feel like my movie watching needs to still be broadened. So I think the first Tom Cruise movie I've ever seen was Top Gun.
Really?
I think so.
Never saw like The Outsiders from the 80s or interesting.
Yeah, so maybe I should see some more Tom Cruise.
I mean, again, it's kind of all like at the same movie, more or less. It's kind of like when you watch a Dwayne Johnson movie and only his muscles can save the world. It's like only Tom Cruise sprinting in a suit can save the world in every Tom Cruise movie. So
I just don't get why they keep calling it Mission Impossible when obviously
it's been done.
It's been successfully done. So
yeah,
new title, Mission Impossible 7 instead of Impossible, Mission Very Difficult. And there we go.
Mission Nearly Impossible.
Yeah, I like really rolls off the tongue.
Mission Borderline Impossible. That may have to be what they start calling it going forward if they keep doing these things.
Literally.
Yeah. But the other one we just barely watched was Insidious 5, The Red Door.
Yeah.
And you said you've only seen one, right?
Two.
Two?
Because I forgot about the last key. I don't remember which one I watched besides the last key. But other than those two, I haven't seen I guess the other what two now? This will be the fifth Insidious movie coming
Yeah.
out. Yeah, so I haven't seen the other two, but watching that trailer makes me want to kind of like watch all of them.
Yeah. So Insidious is probably my favorite horror movie franchise. And it's just because I feel like they care equally as much about the story and the plot development and the character development as they do about the scariness of the movie. Whereas there's so many horror movies that are just concerned with how scared you get watching it.
Right.
And I don't mind like the tone of a horror movie or being scared in a movie. I think like it's like enjoyable kind of to, get that, I don't know.
Adrenaline pump.
Yeah, adrenaline pump, I guess, from kind of the jump scares and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Insidious movies were so fun for me to watch because I mean they've been coming out for a while now, like early 20 teens, I think is when they started.
Yeah.
And the first two are two of my favorite, not even scary movies. Like I just love those first two movies because of how the plot progresses through those two. 3 and 4 I liked for different reasons. I don't think the plot was quite as good. I felt like the third one, they were kind of going for more of what other horror movies have been doing, just trying to make it scarier. And then the fourth one just had some The Last Key had some freaking weird, nuts, creepy plot twists that made me super uncomfortable.
It sucks because I don't even remember them very well because I was probably, I don't know when The Last Key came out. All I remember is I saw it in theaters with a bunch of friends. So I probably wasn't even really paying attention because
you're just hooliganing around.
Yeah, probably. So, and I remember the first one I watched, I begged my dad, can we please watch a scary movie? I've never seen one.
Yeah.
And we watched it, and he was like, if we watch this, like, you have to sleep in your room. You're like 13 years old. Like, you can't get scared and come into my room. I was like, I got this. Yeah, like 3/4 into I don't even think I finished the movie.
Really?
I think no, I did, because I remember the ending. But I go into my room and I swear I just see like a dark shadow in my corner, darker than my entire room. So I went into my parents' room and watched Disney Channel that night.
Oh man.
So I could balance out the terror.
You got to do that sometimes. I think for one of my birthdays, we got a bunch of my friends and we went up to our family cabin and we watched a bunch of scary movies. And at the end, I think we had to turn on Paul Blart Mall Cop because we're all just like, the tension's too heavy. We can't go to sleep like this. Which, big shout out to Kevin James for that one. I love that movie.
Classic.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited for the fifth one. I think it's cool that they're kind of returning to the original family because 3 and 4 don't really cover their family very much. It's about the other characters in the movie.
Right.
But I think it's really cool that they're gonna kind of build on that storyline from the first two, because those two are definitely my favorite. And I think Patrick Wilson, the guy who plays the dad in the movie, is directing it, which is exciting to see. I don't know if he's directed before.
Okay.
So
yeah, and like kind of what I was telling you before, I think it's cool that they don't have to be rated R to make a good scary movie, because that's my problem with a lot of scary movies is usually if it's PG-13, it's probably a trash scary movie.
Right.
Like you might have a decent storyline, but other than that, it's probably a garbage movie. But then with it being rated R, you have like the scare factor and whatever, but it's just a whole lot of unnecessary elements to a movie.
Right.
And so I feel like Insidious does it perfectly to where it's, like you said, a solid storyline. It has as we saw in the trailer, like it looks creepy. Uncomfortable. So huge props. Also, are we okay? I just want to make sure I actually push record.
Yeah, no, we're recording. Okay. It's all good.
Just making sure.
We're still figuring it out, guys. You guys probably know if you're still here and you've listened to the first two, we're still figuring it out, because I mean, I'll apologize right now, but anyways, we'll move forward from there. But the other one that I saw, I think I've seen this trailer before actually, but I just saw it in the theaters yesterday, is the Gran Turismo trailer.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
That's the racing one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that one also in theaters. I think it was during Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that I saw it. It looks super cool. It's a cool concept. I'm assuming it's based off the video game. Is that even a real video game?
Yeah. Okay. So Gran Turismo is a video game.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have more to say about it, or?
It just looks super cool.
Yeah.
And I'm really bad with actors' names. I think I've said that in every single podcast that we have now. But the main dude that's like training them, the dude that's in
David
Stranger
Harper
Things. Yeah.
from yeah.
Yeah. I really like him a lot. So I'm glad he's in the movie.
Yeah.
So
And
it's a cool
Orlando
concept.
Bloom's another actor, the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't know if you've followed those.
Movies.
Okay. Yeah. Well, got some work to do then. But
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so they played an extended trailer that kind of was an explanation from the cast before the actual trailer in the theater yesterday. And I had no idea that I kind of heard that it was based on a true story. So apparently there's a real dude, current active race car driver for Nissan, who basically got into it because of this program that they did at one point. And he is the stunt driver for his own character in the movie.
Wow.
Which I thought was super sick.
That's
like
super cool.
I know Bethany Hamilton did that for Soul Surfer, like for the surfing action scenes in that movie. But I thought it was super cool that he's stunt driving for his own movie about his life, because he's like a current race car driver, which I thought was nuts.
That's not the main kid, is it? The main in the trailer?
Yeah, that guy's an actor, but like when it's in the car and it's not showing his face and it's showing like the driving, it's the actual real race car driver.
But it is like it's the kid, but like
so the character is the guy that's the stunt driver.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. I thought it was nuts. So
that's legendary.
And then the Nas song that they play during the trailer gets me so hyped. And it's a perfect movie song trailer, because honestly, I love a lot of Nas, but that isn't my favorite Nas song. But it fits so well, and it's so cool in the trailer. I'm really excited to see that one.
It looks super good.
Yeah, I'm worried that I feel like films like that disappoint me a lot when they actually come out, but I have really high hopes that it will be a super cool action story movie. Yeah.
No, it looks really good.
Yeah.
Excited.
And then after that, one you're mega hyped about is the Blue Beetle.
Oh, dude, the trailer. So I watched the trailer for the first time. This is the first time I've seen the trailer. It's gonna be another comedic superhero.
Sure.
Which I like that, depending on the character. So like if you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, perfect. If you look at Ant-Man, perfect. If you look at Thor, no. Good third movie, but still no. But so Blue Beetle, I feel like is a perfect fit, especially in such a darker universe. Like you have Barry Allen, you have the Flash with his kind of witty, kind of like Spider-Man kind of character.
Shazam.
Yeah, Shazam. And so I feel like he'll be a good part in DC. I haven't heard anything about his story not being canon moving forward, or if they're restarting on him. He's such a side character that like you could keep him in. You don't have to restart on him, because this is the first time you're even bringing him up. But it looks cool. The graphics look super cool.
Right.
Even just the scenes where he's like flying around or like fighting in the suit, and then the suit at the very end says like, I can create anything that you imagine. And then he pulls out this like super giant sword and it's like, good choice. I lost my mind. It looks super good.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a movie that I would have been mega excited for like 4 years ago. And it's not that I don't like Blue Beetle or that I don't feel like that's a good fit for DC, because I do think he could complement what they have very well. But I just feel like the dip in quality of superhero movies has me so worried for characters like him right now.
That's valid.
Because like Ant-Man comes out several years ago and it fits perfectly. Guardians of the Galaxy, same thing.
Right.
The like where superhero movies were as a whole was in the perfect place for them to come out. But I feel like right now, and especially in DC, where there's so much in the air, it feels like such a dangerous time to introduce a character like the Blue Beetle.
Right. Yeah.
But I do think it has a ton of potential, because it's not a super, super popular mainstream superhero. Right. Like anytime you reboot a Batman, like there's a ton riding on it, because everybody loves Batman. Every time you reboot Spider-Man, there's a ton riding on that. Right. Superman, same thing. But there's some characters like him where you have a little more wiggle room to play with and make it your own, and make it not only like a tribute to the character really well, but make it a really, really good movie. And I think they do have the potential to do that. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of comedic aspects. Like, I don't know if you caught that George Lopez, I think, is his dad in the movie.
Yeah.
And so I think I love George Lopez. I'm curious to see how he'll fit in a superhero movie, but he had some great one-liners in the trailer. Um, I am excited to see how it turns out.
Right.
I'm just very nervous that it's going to be trash.
Yeah. And I mean, like you were saying with the wiggle room, they have a lot to play with, I feel like, just because this is the first time we're even seeing Blue Beetle.
True.
So like brand new character to cinema. And I mean, if I'm correct, I think they've been working on this movie before they even announced like, oh yeah, we're starting over everything.
Right.
So to just scrap that movie, I feel like would have been a huge disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the movie sucks, then you could have done it and we would have been fine. So
yeah.
But I'm stoked.
That's true. I do think it has the potential to be very good because of all of that wiggle room, like we've talked about. But I guess we'll have to see. I think that one comes out in August, so it's a few months after The Flash. And so I don't know what they're going to do with it because I feel like there's way too much up in the air at DC right now for me to be confident in anything they're doing.
Yeah, no, that's valid. I agree.
Yeah. The last big trailer that I think I saw, the first time I saw any hype for it was on Instagram, and I've not seen it in theaters. I had to not look super hard, but it took me a minute to like find this movie. It's The Creator, starring John David Washington.
Yeah.
Did you watch this one?
I did.
What do you think of this movie, this trailer?
It looks like a higher quality iRobot with a little bit of a higher concept. Like really going into especially nowadays, because AI is the huge thing going on and we're still like working on it and everything. But I feel like it's just a current day iRobot.
Yeah.
Which kind of scares me a little bit because iRobot's not a good movie.
Yeah.
Out of Will Smith's movies, it's one of the lesser good movies.
You can say bad. You don't have to say less good.
Movie. Yeah, it's bad. But I mean the quality looks really good.
Yeah.
What did I see him in? What was the movie? He's
Tenet.
in the Tenet. Yeah. So I love him as an actor. His performance was amazing in Tenet. So I'm already excited that he's going to be the main character in this. I feel like they showed a little bit much in the trailer.
I would have liked a little more mystery. I agree.
Like I didn't need to know that the child was a robot in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that was a big plot twist right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Okay. I already know kind of exactly what this movie is going to be like unless they've got more up their sleeve.
Yeah. So it feels like a current day iRobot. And then did you ever see or play the game Detroit?
No.
Super good game. It's basically a game about these androids kind of taking consciousness and trying to bring freedom to androids to where there's peace. Well, you can decide if you want peace, but I always chose the peaceful side. So peace between androids and humans. So it feels like kind of like a mixture between the two.
Okay.
But graphics and everything looks super cool.
Yeah. So I thought a little bit similar. I thought it looked like a modern adaptation of maybe like Terminator. I don't know if you ever saw any of those movies, but those are kind of classics from back in the day. And it looks like, because I feel like anytime more technology advancements come out, people are like, oh, Terminator, it's gonna happen. And like, I feel like what the crew did with this movie, at least it looks like, is they kind of just took what's actually happening and what people's actual fears are right now and made it a movie. Because I'll be honest, dude, AI kind of does give me the willies. Like, I don't like that it can teach itself so much so quickly. Like,
that's not right.
Yeah. Like I don't have Snapchat, but they have the new AI thing on Snapchat, and I've heard like people just get weird messages from it, like creepy stuff.
Bro, can I find one? I texted it. I had to, because I saw the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Keep talking while I pull it up.
Yeah. So I mean, but to get back to the movie about it, it does look super
They
interesting.
delete the messages.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude,
It's not saved.
They don't want you to expose AI on.
I named him Kevin from the FBI.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, AI kind of does give me the willies, but
Yeah.
hopefully they resolve people's concerns with it. But I do think it makes for a very interesting movie premise. And like you're saying, John David Washington looks like a really good fit for the role based on what he did in Tenet, which gives me similar vibes of movie style at least. So I think like the hype that I was seeing was like, this is the dark horse for movie of the year. And I would not be surprised if
Right.
it is one of the best movies I see this year, but it's
Absolutely.
definitely a movie that caught my eye and I'm like, okay, I got to see this when it comes out.
Right. Yeah, I feel like with um with that movie Oppenheimer and like with Air, I feel like we're finally getting into a realm of like what is going to be movie of the year? Because right now for me, like I've said, it's Air.
Yeah.
Like I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the best movie out this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if it changed to either one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, it definitely does feel like I'm really excited sorry, I got mind blank right there. But to wrap that thought back to what I was going to say, I think movies are finally getting back to an exciting place in theatrical release
Right.
terms because in COVID, especially, everything was like streaming releases, and that's cool and that's fine. And there was some decent movies that came out of
Mhm.
it. Like Tenet was kind of a product of the pandemic, and you've had some other various superhero movies and what have you that
Yeah.
came out. And then there's movies like Top Gun that they kind of sat on for such a long time to release in theaters after the fact.
Right.
And then like the Batman did so well in theaters. And this year, I feel like there's another big step forward in that. Like
Right.
we're back to kind of the quality of movies that we were getting before then.
Yeah.
And that makes me really excited just as a fan of movies.
Yeah. Like for me, especially going into I'm not gonna say newer movies because they've been out forever,
Sure.
but for me, seeing them for like the first time,
Yeah.
it's like I'm actually getting excited about anything that's not superhero related. Like for the first time, probably ever. Like,
Yeah.
which is a cool thing to
That is
see.
cool.
I'm growing.
It's development, man. That's good to hear, bro. So I mean, I would say honestly, The Creator and Gran Turismo are two of the movies of these new trailers that I saw that I
Mhm.
am the most excited for.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I will want to see all of them
Yeah.
at some point.
I think the one that probably got me the most hype besides Blue Beetle is the new Insidious movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one
Cool.
looks
Cool.
really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna talk here in a little bit about I guess you can't really preview the NBA finals if they've already started. We're gonna talk about the NBA finals though. And we're gonna talk about the new Metro Boomin
Mhm.
Spider-Man soundtrack. But before we do that, there was a bunch of new singles that came out this week.
Yep.
Some new songs that we were both listening to.
Mhm.
Um, I'll jump in with the first one that I heard, and it was the New Music Daily cover song, Popular, by the most ragtag random group of singers,
Oh yeah.
The Weeknd, Playboy Cardi, and Madonna. And I was like, oh my goodness, this may be the worst song I hear this year, or it could be decent, but I don't think it's going to be good.
No.
And I listened to it, and I mean, you're not the biggest fan of, I feel like, any of those artists, more or less, at least their
What was the
recent stuff.
second person?
Playboy Cardi.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Okay. But I
Weekend's
was,
not bad.
yeah, I was thoroughly impressed by this song, to be honest
Really?
with you. Yeah. And it was 99% of it, I think, had to do with the production. It
Okay.
was so bouncy. It felt like a club song that I
Yeah.
would hear in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any trailers or anything about this new TV show that The Weeknd's doing, which it's on the soundtrack for.
Oh, is that okay?
But just based on what The Weeknd's done with a lot of this bubbly 80s pop lately, it
Mhm.
was a super cool step in the same direction. It felt like kind of a lateral step
Yeah.
to something
Yeah.
equally as good. Like it didn't go outside of the realm of like 80s bubble pop, but it
Yeah.
was very different than the sound of 80s pop that he's been trying to do recently,
Right.
which I really liked. And because of that, I think Madonna fit the song pretty well. I mean, that was her era,
Yeah.
more or less. I mean, plenty of people don't like Madonna, myself included, but uh regardless, that's when she was making most of her music. And
Right.
the only part that felt weird was Playboy Cardi's feature, just kind
Yeah.
of ad-libbing a ton of like post hook stuff. And it just didn't feel like it fit. But the rest of the song I found really bouncy and enjoyable. And like I said, 99% of it was the production, but
Mhm.
the Weeknd and Madonna's vocals on it both complemented what was going on with the music really well.
Yeah, I listened. So that was not the first one I listened to, just because. Oh no, that was the first one I listened to while going through all these, and I had the same thought. Like, what is this little mashup? Like, I just the week prior, I just listened to Taylor Swift and I Spy. So am I going to get another one of those?
Right.
So I listened to it, and I agree. Like, I was more shocked that I didn't love it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't terrible.
Mhm.
Besides Playboy
Playboy Cardi.
Cardi, yeah, that's just a weird little curveball in there.
Yeah.
But the Weeknd did good, and then I zoned out. Like, it was cool background music. Like,
Sure.
I was just playing games while listening through these songs, and
Mhm.
so it was cool background music. Nothing spectacular where I'm like hanging on to each word and
Right.
like, wow, this is
Mhm.
a masterpiece. But it was a good song. I'll give them credit where credit's due.
Agreed. Yeah.
But
Like I
yeah,
said, I mean, I felt like this is a song that you would hear in the club in the
yeah,
80s. And maybe that is when it'll occur in this TV show. It's hard to know music without seeing where it fits in, but
right.
I do feel like it might fit into that kind of show, I guess. Like I
Right.
said, I don't really know anything about it, but I feel like it's going to fit in really well
Yeah.
wherever it goes in the show.
I feel like a lot of, at least this week's, I feel like a lot of the songs that I at least listened to were a lot of like clubbish music. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's where, I don't know who exactly you listened to for this week's,
Yeah.
but the couple of artists that I saw drop and listen to, a lot of the ones were very club field music.
Yeah. What was another one that you heard?
So there were this this one kind of shocked me. It was the chain smokers and
Oh my gosh. Don't say Blood Nymph. From the Taco Bell commercial song.
is that what it is?
Yeah,
Ain't
she
no
gives me
way.
nightmares, man. That Taco Bell commercial
That
song.
one, like,
Yeah, I listened to it too,
that's
just because,
great. That's a great song.
man, she gives me nightmares though. I couldn't do her vocals. She scares the crap out of me.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed that song. I didn't even know that was the same song.
Yeah. Well, it's not the
That's
same song,
whoa.
but same
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a really good song. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Man. Well, I do respect what they were going for, and like I said, I think I may have enjoyed it more if that Taco Bell song didn't give me the freaking willies so much. I love Taco Bell, and I didn't want to eat there for weeks until they stopped running that commercial. Man, that song creeps me out. Holy Toledo! And then I like looked up the song on Apple Music, and she like wears elf ears all the time, and I know because it's the stuff of nightmares. Golly, just be normal, people.
Oh my
Anyways, I'm glad that
gosh.
you enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I honestly, I feel like I may have enjoyed it if it wasn't her
Yeah,
singing it, just because I think I'm
you were
off of.
traumatized.
Yeah, I really was. We got to move on before I start thinking too much about that Taco Bell song. Um, Another one that I heard was "Don't Give It Away" by Friday and Chris Brown. Did you listen to that one?
No, I
So
saw it.
yeah, I like a lot of Chris Brown. I think he's super unique voice, a staple in music, 100%. I do feel like the older he's gotten in his career, a lot of his stuff sounds derivative of himself. Like a lot of it
Yeah.
sounds like the same song. And I felt like this was just another kind of step in that direction. Like it was fine, it was enjoyable, but it just sounded like other Chris Brown that I'd heard before. So I don't know that I really would listen to it again,
Yeah.
not because it's bad, just because I feel like I've heard it.
Yeah, I was gonna click on that one, but then I saw Pressure by MGK,
Yeah.
and so I kind of just absolutely forgot about Chris Brown, and I was like, "Oh, this is one of the songs I needed to listen to." Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it.
The
The
pressure
Pressure
song.
song.
Yeah,
It was
I think
whatever.
if you were to Google the definition of mid, this song would be
Yeah,
linked to that
absolutely.
description.
Yeah. And like this is kind of what I expected from MGK. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie. Like I was not excited. I wasn't like not looking forward to it, but it's like
I'll listen to it when it comes
yeah,
out.
like I think his little pop rock thing that he's been doing, I think that fits him very, very well.
Yeah.
I think he has the capabilities of rapping, but shouldn't do it very often. Respectfully.
Yeah.
Like
And
I think he does good on features like when I think two of the people he collabs really well where it's kind of like a mix between pop rock and rap is Black Bear and Trippy Red.
yeah, yeah.
That's about it.
And he did incorporate a lot more rap on Mainstream Sellout, which I thought sounded fine when he did it.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I felt like I listened to this Pressure song and I was just like, all right, that's exactly what I thought you would put out. Like, I'll probably never listen to it again. I wouldn't necessarily say it's garbage, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, no. It's a very forgettable song, and I'll probably forget about it by next week.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot about it until you brought it up.
That's valid.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it wasn't very good. Anyways, a song that surprised the heck out of me was Bread and Butter by Gunna. Did you hear that song when it came out?
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, I'll be honest, I am not the biggest Young Thug or Gunna fan, and I feel like they're kind of more or less the same. And when it comes to them, I feel like I'd prefer Young Thug over Gunna in general.
Yeah.
But I thought this song was really cool. I thought the production was really good. His vocals are pretty monotone for what I feel like he does.
Absolutely.
But the chorus was kind of catchy. I really liked the lyrics. Like he kind of dove a little bit into what he's been going through with his like legal troubles lately and everything. And, you know, that's its own story, but it was cool to hear him acknowledge it and be like, I went through some stuff with this and like life was not enjoyable.
Yeah.
But like, I'm back doing the only way I know how to get through these times, like trying to heal myself through it. And I thought it was really cool. Like I ended up downloading it, and I'm like I said, I'm not the biggest Gunna fan, anyways. But
yeah, I so I heard it, I think on accident because I so like I said, I was playing games while listening to all of these songs, and I think I need to never do that again so I could actually listen to the music. So it came on. And I don't remember pushing like play next or anything on it, like having it in my queue, but it played. And I was just kind of like, what's this? Pause my game, look at it. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just going to keep playing.
Yeah.
And so I did. So I didn't listen to the actual song at all. I just had it playing.
Right.
But you're right. Like production wise, I mean, I didn't skip it. So
Yeah.
That's a thumbs up. Like I'll probably go back and listen. I just thought it was an accident. I just thought like some random music.
You were
was
just like,
playing.
all right.
Yeah, I was just like, whatever. Cool. Like I'm still playing. I can't stop right now. So, but yeah, I'll go back and listen.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and like I said, I'm not the biggest Gunna fan, but I think it was ultimately the lyrical vulnerability that I got from it that was like, this is kind of a cool song, which I feel like you don't get a ton from those guys that make that kind of music.
Yeah.
But anyways, the next song that I listened to was Motion by Ty Dolla $ign. What'd you think of that one?
It was decent.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard a lot of music exactly like that.
It felt a little bit kind of like that bouncy club vibe thing that you were talking about.
Right. But at the same time, I feel like I haven't heard a lot from Ty Dolla $ign.
Yeah.
To the point where it was like a cool little change up in my music. I didn't download it or anything. I didn't think it was anything special, but it was a good song nonetheless. Like I said, it was just a good vibe. So it was enjoyable to listen just because I haven't heard anything from him in a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I mean, I don't know why. I feel like the Ty Dolla $ign songs that I really like are these weird soundtrack songs that he does. Like, I think he was on that Shell Shocked song from the TMNT movie.
That song is great.
I know.
That song. I forgot that song existed.
Yeah, and then I think wasn't he on Sucker for Pain too off of the
Is he one of the feature
artists? I think he's on Sucker for Pain off of the whatever the heck that movie is called, Suicide Squad soundtrack. I feel like that's his wheelhouse for no good reason. But this
Yeah,
song,
he is.
he is
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So I don't know why. I just vibe with whatever songs he puts out like that. But
Yeah.
this song and the next song on my list, Porsche Topless by Kid Cudi.
Mm,
I felt like, oh, it's like cool to hear them making some decent music. Like I haven't heard their voices much
yeah.
lately, but neither of them were songs that I feel like I'd go back to a ton or download. But like
Yeah.
it was cool to hear him drop something that wasn't half bad.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling the Kid Cudi vibe. I didn't even know that was Kid Cudi until I looked at what I was
Yeah.
listening to, and I was like, okay, I remember pushing play next, but this doesn't sound like anything you
Yeah.
make ever. So
Yeah.
like,
It does feel out of place for him. I don't know if you listened to Intergalactic, his last little album that he did, but it
mm,
reminded me a lot of that, which is definitely a stray from what he normally does.
yeah.
And I like a lot of Kid Cudi as much as the next guy, but the dude's whole career's been very hit or miss for me. Like even on his Man on the Moon album, which had like Day and Night and Pursuit of Happiness and all these
Right.
classics, there's a bunch of like boogers in between there, like that just are not very good, at least in my opinion. I'm sorry if any Kid Cudi fans are out there and don't like that, but
Oh yes, another fan base to try.
no, I'm not trying to piss off Kid Cudi's fan base.
No,
I
we're
like the
trying to
man,
piss them off.
but yeah, it wasn't his best work, I would say.
Yeah. Two songs that I found both shockingly enjoyable were Pull Up with Tussie and 21 Savage.
I wrote that one down
Yeah,
next too.
super good song. Like
Yeah.
I was vibing all the way through it. I feel like, at least in my opinion, I feel like 21 Savage hasn't been doing good on features lately. That's just how I feel.
Sure.
But this one, I feel like they worked really well together. I think this was a good collaborative project. Enjoyable song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to that song and I remember seeing something about him recently.
Mm.
And this Tusi guy, I had no idea that he was like a dude or that he was
Yeah.
like actually making some pretty popular music lately.
Yeah.
And so I went and listened to like his whole new album that just dropped. And apparently the biggest song is Favorite Song. I don't know if you've heard that. It's
I don't think so.
I'm not very up on like the what's big on TikTok or the radio music.
Oh,
I
is
kind of
it?
I don't know if it is or not.
Oh,
That's why I just saw that it was trending, and so
gotcha.
I'm assuming that's where it's trending because
Probably.
I haven't heard it.
Probably.
But I listened to that whole project, and it was very respectable.
Hmm.
Very respectable. I would not by any means say that like top to bottom it's the best album I've heard this
Right.
year or like he's the next whoever, but
Right.
it
That
was
came out this year.
very respectable. What?
That came out this year.
It came out on Friday. Yeah, that
Oh,
that
the
21
whole.
Savage song came
Oh.
out with the
Oh.
album.
Okay.
So I
Oh.
just listened to it and like huge shout out to that album because
That.
I think the best way to describe his sound based on this album is if Roddy Ricch and Lil Durk made good music.
I'm gonna go listen to it.
Yeah, because I like a lot of Roddy Ricch's vocal
Yeah.
stuff. I don't think Tusi has this range vocally that Roddy does, but then again, I don't think he really tried to on the album ever.
Right.
And he's kind of got this similar Lil Durk vibe to when Lil Durk does something a little more melodic and a little less drill.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not by any means like top to bottom the best album I've heard or anything, but I think it's a very respectable project. I think there's a lot of growing room for him to do.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. I ended up reading a little bit about him just because I was curious. Like I'd never heard of him before. He was born 4 days before me. So like,
Oh wow.
I don't know why I felt like this connection. I was like, this is my dog. Like we're like, yeah, we're in this together now. But he anyways, because of that, I was really listening to the album lyrically, and it was super cool, like to hear him kind of go through these growing up. I wouldn't say it's like a coming of age album because obviously like I'm 23, he's 23.
Right.
But it was like an adulting album, like becoming an adult, coming to real responsibilities, recognizing your immaturities.
Yeah.
And then you still hear some of that room where he needs to grow or where like maybe we both need to grow in that. in like recognizing that there's still work to do in growing up. It's very homegrown, very intimate, like familial feel in the album. There's a lot of like relationship stuff, stuff about just like family and your neighborhood and kind of growing up that way, which I found it very enjoyable. But like I said, definitely some growing room needed artistically and musically, but I think he's got a lot of potential. I was very impressed.
I'll have to listen to the album. I didn't know that was a part of a project. I just, like I said,
I saw that's how I found it too. It's just on the new singles, but
I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah.
The last one that I got that I can remember is, I don't actually know how to say her name. I want to say it's Tuvlo.
Yeah, Tovlo. Right? I don't know how to say it either.
I don't like yeah. But her "I Like You" single,
it's good.
I thought it was surprisingly good. I was kind of hesitant to push play next on hers,
sure,
just because that's not really an artist I listen to.
Yeah,
but I was like, you know what, screw it. Mainly because we're doing this podcast, so we review. So I'll review.
Yeah,
it was a good song.
Interesting,
and that's one of those songs that I was saying, like, it feels clubbish. Like,
interesting.
That's more of a party song to me. Like something I could definitely see a lot. If it were to blow up. I don't know where it's at right now.
Yeah,
but if it were to blow up, I could see a lot of people putting this in a rotation at like any party, house party, club, like
interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, like you, I'm not the biggest Tovlo fan,
right.
But I think Habits by her may be like my favorite guilty pleasure song, because it's not the style of music that I listen to or that I would say is my favorite genre or anything. And I think the moral of the song is horrible. And like, it's just kind of a depressing like message for sure. But oh my gosh, I vibe with that song. Yeah. Anyways, before I embarrass myself more, there was some solid singles that came out this week. I didn't listen to a whole lot where I was like, this is absolute garbage. Then again, I didn't listen to like every new song that came out this week, but at least from the artists that I listened to, there wasn't a whole lot of like trash. There was definitely stuff I didn't keep, but it was nice to hear like some good, solid music come out. That was just kind of refreshing.
Yeah, I feel like this week I downloaded a lot more than I have in the past couple weeks. So very enjoyable on my end, at least.
Cool.
Yeah. Time out.
All right. So for our next segment here, we are going to have our first official guest on the show, the artist formerly known as Maddie Gladstone, Madi Vance, who's also known as my wife, is our resident basketball expert and here to chat with us and preview the NBA Finals a little bit. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I don't know how much we'll like talk sports all the time, just because I think like that's not necessarily like the focus of our podcast, but sports are a major entertainment, and so we'll for sure preview and talk the big stuff. And we kind of mentioned that I don't know if you can't say preview because they've started and game 2's actually just starting as we're talking, but we're going to chat just a little bit about the NBA Finals and kind of see how things are going. So if you live under a rock and you don't know anything about the NBA, features Jimmy Butler's Miami Heat against Nikola Jokic's Denver Nuggets. First time in franchise history they made the finals, and Jimmy is back to avenge his bubble defeat. So not the finals that I think a ton of people wanted to see. I think there was a ton of people that wanted Lakers Celtics or Lakers Heat or Nuggets Celtics, but I don't know that a whole lot of people really wanted to see Nuggets Heat.
Yeah, probably just Miami and Denver.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of an interesting dynamic we have here because you are a Jimmy Buckets man. You want him to win his ring.
Yeah.
You think Nikola Jokic is the best thing since sliced bread.
Basically is.
So, I mean, how are you guys both feeling about this finals matchup? And I mean, are you excited to watch it or not? And the Nuggets are up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, they did win.
They won on Monday or
we
Thursday.
haven't seen any games though. So
Yeah, any of the first game or the beginning of the second game. So
the first game was all right. It was like a good little back and forth. Obviously Denver caught steam very early on. They used, and they only did this because I don't like the dude. They used Aaron Gordon for like the first 7 minutes, like just Aaron Gordon. They just kept dumping it off right in the paint. He just laid the ball up. So that sucked. But
did you see his interview? I think it was after the first game where he was like, I'm definitely going to tell my grandkids about these playoffs when I locked up Cat and then I locked up LeBron and now I locked up Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I was like,
did like
no.
KD too or something like that. Yeah.
No, you're not.
No. Yeah, I don't like that
he
guy.
Probably will, but his grandkids are going to be like, Grandpa has dementia. Grandpa's losing it.
But is he wrong?
I don't know. Is he wrong? Has he locked them up?
Pretty well.
Okay.
They're in the finals.
I mean, you know more than I do, so.
Yeah, he did.
He's done okay.
Yeah.
You just don't like him.
I just don't like him. I just think he is one of the most mediocre players that can dunk really well. That's it.
I will say he strikes me kind of as like a more athletic version of what, and a little bit less cocky version of what Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks are on their teams.
Right.
Like he doesn't do a whole lot other than you need his energy on defense and he will score when he's wide open.
Right. Yeah, but that's what they need.
That's true.
Yeah. They don't need another all-star player.
You just need the one.
Even though he said that he deserved to be an all-star this year.
Okay, I'll just ignore that part.
That was stupid. Me, Ty, and James roasted the crap out of him.
He did not deserve that, but he does what Denver needs him to do.
This is true. I think a lot of people have the Nuggets winning it like pretty easily. That's all I've really been hearing, especially after the sweep over the Lakers.
I think Shaq took the broom out on set, didn't he?
What if you yeah. I still don't think we should count out. Just realized the pants. That's funny. Sorry.
Jaden and I have matching pajama pants from when we were roommates / mission companions in Boston, and they were sparkly rainbow colors. And he just saw mine sitting on the floor. So, oh my goodness.
Anyways, I don't think we should count out the Heat just yet. I think they are the definition of scrappy. And I think somebody said this about the Timberwolves last year, about them being scrappy. The reason why a scrappy team is so scary is because they're so unpredictable. And if you look at them, you look at people like Max Strus, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent. Who are they?
They're the same guy.
Yeah. So it's like you have Caleb Martin popping off for like 8 threes, 7 threes in game 7 against Boston. Just completely came out of nowhere. And then in game 1 against Denver, they suck. All 3
points.
Yeah. They all are trash. And then you have somebody super inconsistent on offense in Bam Adebayo, because game 7, I think he had like 5 points or something like that. Game 1, he had a double-double, 26 points, 13 rebounds, something like that. So I think overall, I think Denver definitely does have the upper hand, but I think to count out the Heat would be a mistake, and that's what they want. So Heat in 6.
Really?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't really have a horse in this race. I'm like, I love basketball, but like the Celtics and the Jazz are kind of my teams just because I've lived there, and the fact that neither of them are in it and that it's Miami and Denver doesn't make me like dying to see who's going to pull it off. Like it'd be cool for Jokic to win it after the last few years that he's had. It'd be cool for Jimmy to win one. I would say I'm probably like a little more partial to Denver just because it'd be cool for the first time in franchise history.
Right.
With how much success they've had and how much they've gone through with like Jamal getting back and everything. But like I said, I don't really have too big of a preference or like too much stake in it. What do you guys feel like? Because you want the Nuggets to win. You want the Heat to win. Obviously, you think they will. You think the Nuggets will win. What are the keys that both of them need in order to win this series?
Okay, first, can I answer your first question? Because you never let me answer.
the first one.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember what my question was, but yeah, go for it.
My whole life is he asks a question and then goes on a rant, and then I never get an answer.
Okay. I apologize. I don't even remember what I asked, genuinely, but go for it.
Okay, you asked what makes this entertaining or not entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
In the series. Okay, so
Yeah,
I can answer.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I remember now.
Okay,
I was just kidding.
Okay, I understand why this might not be the ideal matchup to like someone who doesn't really watch the NBA or isn't super invested or wanted the Lakers, Celtics, whatever. But here's why I like Denver and Miami. I think they're both just super underrated. They've got selfless stars, Jimmy Butler and Jokic. It's not like I still love these guys, but it's not like a Steph Curry or a Kevin Durant where they need to shoot 50 a game to win, right? They've got all these underrated stars. They work hard on defense. They hustle. And so that's why I like this matchup. I like both teams. I wouldn't be mad if Miami wins.
Right.
I love Jimmy Butler. I love Duncan Robinson as much as you hate him.
I don't have anything against him. I think well, that's not true. I don't hate the man. I just think he needs to hit the gym a little more and stop complaining when a fly bumps into him and knocks him on his back. He'll be sitting there and a little butterfly will hit him in the chest and he'll just land flat on his back. Oh, it was a foul. No, you're just small. Anyways, that's my rant on Duncan Robinson.
But I do like Denver. I think Jokic is super unusual. He'll pass, he'll score. He doesn't need to do any one of those things. He can do it all. And how do you stop that?
Right.
Is what I like about him. But Denver, they just beat the 1 and the 2 seed in the East, so I can't argue with that. If any, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the
Heat, the 1 and the 2 seed in Milwaukee and
Boston.
So if anyone's gonna do it, it's them.
Right.
It's that anyone's gonna break history, it's them. They're the 2nd seed ever to make it 8 seed to make it to the finals.
First playing team.
Yeah.
Granted, it's only been like 3 years, but still cool.
Right.
Yeah. I do have Denver in 6. But I would not be mad with the Heat. Yeah. And if anyone were to do it, I would not be surprised it's them.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm in the same boat. I honestly wouldn't be upset if Denver won, just if Aaron Gordon won. I just don't think he's deserving of a ring. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love Nikola Jokic. I love Jamal Murray. He's been one of my favorite players ever since the bubble.
Yeah.
With that whole Donovan Mitchell and Jamal matchup.
That was fun.
It was super exciting, got me on my feet. So I used to hate Jokic, I'll say that. I thought he was a dirty player, but now I just don't even care. After Draymond stepped on a man, I don't
nothing compares to stepping on a man.
Yeah.
I saw someone say that he looks like he's playing in flip-flops, and I used to hate watching him play because he looks so unathletic.
Yeah.
But first of all, I've never seen such an unathletic person be so good in a sport. Like Dirk had a little bit of that. Like Dirk didn't move like everybody else, but he was athletic. Like he made athletic moves. Jokic does not look like he ever makes athletic moves, and yet he just bamboozles the best players in the NBA, which is kind of cool. But anyways,
he's
now that
slower, unathletic Magic Johnson.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But now that I feel like I'm picturing him playing in flip-flops like a uncle on vacation, I think it's hilarious and I enjoy it.
Yeah. What was your second question?
So my second question was, what are the keys to you? What are the keys for Miami to win this series? And for you, what are the keys for Denver to win the series?
I think one of the biggest thing is stopping that high pick and roll between Jokic and Murray, because they have so many options with that alone that it's pretty hard to cover, because you have to cover Jokic and Murray at the same time.
They run it backwards, man.
Yeah.
They run it with the big man handling the ball.
And so it's like, okay, well, who would you rather take a shot or make a play? Jokic or Murray? And that's not very good. Yeah. Your odds on both of that are pretty much the exact same. Somebody's going to score. So they need to figure out how to lock that up to the best of their ability. And then it's still early. Like, obviously, game 1 is over and game 2 is literally right now. But you can't have those 3 role players playing that inconsistent. Like, you just can't. Caleb Martin showed in the Bucks series that he is more than capable of being a number 2 or a number 3 option on that team. So he needs to continue having that confidence, continue making those kinds of plays, and taking a load off of Bam and Jimmy. So I think that's offensively and defensively probably the best that they got to do.
Yeah, I do feel like the Heat's bench is kind of having a year similar to what maybe I feel like the Warriors bench had last year, where some of these young guys that hadn't yet really proven a whole lot stepped up huge in the times that it mattered. And like you said, they struggled at the beginning of the series so far in game 1. But in the big moments so far, they've been there.
Right.
And I haven't heard status updates on Tyler Hero on what he's doing, but if you get him back and it fits the system well, he's a good 3 option to score the ball, or even a 2 sometimes. But if you don't get him back, they're playing great basketball without him, and they're in a great rhythm. And I don't know that you necessarily need to interrupt that unless things start getting really dicey, and then maybe it's important for him to come back and play. But like I said, I think they are in a very good position that the players who need to hit their peak are hitting their peak at the right time this year.
Yeah. And I think it's really good for the Miami Heat to have somebody like Jimmy Butler. He's such a great leader, and I think that's just amping them up more. You look at like all the things he's been saying, like in interviews, and even after the games, like people are just reading his mouth, like talking to Kayla, like, no, we're fine. Like, we're okay. You look at every single interview, even though the Celtics came back and made it a tie series. Now we're fine. We're going to go listen to some music, wind down a little bit. Like, he's just a super good leader to have. That's going to, like you were saying, like, be unselfish, get your guys into the game. And even if he doesn't have a great game, he's still going to push, kind of like a Draymond Green. Like, he's going to be that guy on the floor saying, hey, no, shoot that. Like, you're good. Forget about whatever you just did. Next play. Let's go. So I think that's another good thing that the Miami Heat have.
Yeah. You've been showing me Jimmy Butler's Instagrams after his games, and his Instagram story just looks like a proud dad showing off all of his children. Like, it's not even pictures of himself. He's just like,
It's like
at Duncan Robinson. Like, he's just tagging them in photos of themselves without Jimmy in it. And he's just like, great game from so-and-so tonight. It's super cool to see that from a star.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Well, what about for the Nuggets?
I think for both teams, it's basically a battle of the role players. Whoever's role players play better. Like, if KCP and Aaron Gordon and who else is there?
Bruce Brown.
Did I say Michael Porter Jr.?
MPJ.
Yeah, and Michael Porter Jr. Who's the dude? Jeff Green.
Yeah.
The man who had the greatest block I've seen this year at like age 55 or however old he is.
So basically, I think if any of those guys, or if Max Strus starts popping off, Gabe Vincent, those guys, I think whoever plays better is going to win, honestly.
Right.
Because Jokic is going to get his 30-point triple-double. Jamal Murray's going to get 25. Jimmy and Bam are going to get 20 to 30 each, but it's whoever can play better off the bench, off those other star players.
Yeah.
I think Jokic could beat up Bam a little bit, though. I think that's a disadvantage.
Dude, I saw Jokic throw Cody Zeller into the 4th row from that first game. My gosh. That was that was unsettling to see, but it was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
I saw this meme. It was like, Cody, you have to guard Jokic, and it was Dwight Schrute from the basketball episode, and he just has his arms up like, what do you want me to do? Serious?
Oh, yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's a matchup nightmare whenever you have to run that. But that's no Al Horford out there, Cody.
Yeah.
So role player success, I mean, definitely seems crucial. I think the Heat's like you said, Jaden, I think the Heat's bench is in a position where they're like, we're fine. We don't need to like get down on ourselves. We want them to count us out because they've really thrived under that. I mean, like, let's be honest, this was a team that people were at the end of the season were stressing if they would make the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
They lost their first play-in game, didn't they? Like they had to win.
Lost against
they had to win the second game to get in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've had their backs against the wall the whole year. And Denver's been dominant the whole year. So I think what's interesting is they both feel like they're in the position they want to be in,
right?
Which makes this a very interesting thing. You have the team that wants to have their backs against the wall. Maybe they don't necessarily want to do that, but they've been thriving in that situation all year. And the Nuggets have been up the whole year. They've been dominating, and they're doing so right now. So I think it makes for an interesting matchup. But what do you guys think? Do you have anything that feels like maybe this kind of goes along with the keys to the game, but just things that maybe the casual fan or someone like that who hasn't been watching basketball the whole season, that doesn't know these teams super well, something to watch for or something to keep in mind when you're watching these NBA finals? Because like we said, I think a lot of people were expecting Boston to dominate in the playoffs. They were expecting, maybe a Celtics Lakers series or a Celtics Denver series, or even if you go back to the beginning, they were expecting Bucks and Denver or whoever. Not a lot of people thought this would be the matchup they're seeing. And it's kind of been like, for the casual viewer who just likes the 30-foot Steph Curry shot,
right?
Maybe a more quote unquote boring series for them to watch. What do you think are like things to watch out for, things that you may not know if you're just a casual fan going into this game? Do you think there's anything like that?
I feel like why people even say that, like for Denver specifically, they are the most fundamentally sound team I think I've ever seen in recent years. Like they play basketball, how basketball like is taught all throughout like schools. Like I don't want to say the right way to play basketball because there isn't a right way, but like
the fundamental way.
Yeah. And I mean, besides Jokic, because he's a freak of nature, but everybody else plays to their position. They do their role. They make the shots they need to. They get back on defense. They play defense how they're supposed to. So that's why people aren't like excited, because you're right. They're not getting the 30-foot Steph Curry shot. You're not getting a lob to LeBron James and the crowd goes wild. You're getting Aaron Gordon doing that. Nobody wants to see that. We saw that in the dunk contest. Get out of here. But that's
Aaron Gordon's getting the Taylor Swift treatment this episode. But yeah, I think that for sure. And to be honest, I think both of these teams kind of fall into that category. Miami has a little more finesse in what they're doing, but I think the reason they feel like boring teams is because they're very fundamentally sound teams. Right. And like we said, it's not going to be a ton of ISOs and just jacking up shots or throwing down on people like Ja Morant or Zion or whoever, but it's going to be a lot of very fundamental basketball. If you're watching the technical, fundamental styles of basketball, then I think this is definitely like the finals you've been wanting the last decade or whatever.
Yeah. And you even look at somebody like Jimmy. He's a current day, I'd put him in the superstar conversation.
Sure.
I'd say that absolutely. Yeah. Where he's not flashy in whatsoever. Jimmy Butler is not a flashy player until if like the playoffs, playoff Jimmy. But even then, if you look at his game, he's doing his pump fakes. He's taking 3 dribbles into the paint. He's kicking out. He's moving around. He's looking for open guys when his shot isn't there. He's not somebody like DeMar DeRozan, where like he knows his spot. You know what? I'm going to take the shot anyway. Like I have 2 guys on me. I'm going to still take the shot because I know I'll make it. No, he's going to, if somebody's on him, he'll look to pass out first. He'll look to find the open guy. And that's the same with Nikola Jokic. That's why you don't see him shooting all the time, even though he's very capable of doing so. He had 9 assists in the first quarter last game. That's ridiculous. I think both of these teams are very fundamentally sound. And I think that's why a lot of people hate it, because it's not flashy.
It's not the Dame Lillard step back over Paul George kind of finals that you're going to see.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's just super focused on defense too, and like coaching strategies, which people don't necessarily like watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this feels a little bit more like a finals that would fit in the early 2000s or the 90s than in the 2020s. But I think for sure if you are a fan of fundamental basketball, and I mean, there's not a ton of it today, like you've been saying, even on the college level, it's gone further away from that. There's not a whole lot of teams running with those styles of players, but I think there is for sure intrigue and importance in the technicality of what they're both doing. And if you just know what you're looking for with that, it's very impressive and very like entertaining to watch. It's kind of like, I mean, a lot of people don't like watching baseball, but for me, like I love watching baseball because of how technical the game is.
Yeah.
And if you know all the ins and outs and everything that you're looking for, the game's very interesting to watch, but it's not flashy and showy. And so I think you just have to know what you're looking for in order for you to like get heavily invested in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think another reason I like these teams, I feel like everyone's just kind of accepted their role, which like doesn't happen on other teams. Like you see like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker fighting for spots, or Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in that last series, which really hurt them.
Jordan Poole and anybody else on the Warriors.
But I think these two teams show like younger kids watching basketball, like teaches them the fundamentals, play defense, know your role. Not everyone has to score 50 a game.
Right.
Like it just shows that if you score like 10 points, play defense, like that can help you get to the finals and win.
Right. And I feel like some of these players like Jimmy, they like show that scoring isn't what makes a game. It's every aspect to a game is what makes a game. So if you are 0 for 10 in the first half, but you have 4 or 5 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, you've helped out just as much as anyone else. Without you, they're not getting the boards. Without you, they're not getting these assists. They're not finding the open guy.
If you got 10 assists, but you've missed 5 shots, you've still accounted for 10 points.
Right.
Plus.
Yeah. Like, so it's definitely cool to see that it's not, these teams aren't a one trick pony. They're not a hero ball team. They are both very well teams, I guess.
Yeah, it's ironic that one of them has a guy named Hero on the team.
And he plays.
He is the only one maybe in the series that plays a little bit of Hero.
I'd say Duncan too.
At times.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got a couple, but in general.
In general, they're usually pretty
sure.
Good. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of stake in the finals, but it is an interesting matchup to watch. I think no matter who wins, it'll be cool to see them win. I feel like now for me, I would just like to see the Nuggets get a sweep, because I think there's only been like 4 or 5 in finals history or something like that I was reading. And so just from like a basketball fan standpoint that doesn't really care who wins, it'd be cool to see that happen. But if Miami pulls off the greatest series of upsets in basketball history, then sick, like awesome. But I mean, is there anything else that you guys have to say about the finals or any of the players? Or
I think with this finals, it's history for either side.
Sure.
And I think it does so much good for either organization.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Heat, Jimmy finally gets his ring. He will probably go down as one of the best playoff performers in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You have Kyle Lowry getting a second ring, and that's usually the time where people will start considering debating for like Hall of Fame status.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a Hall of Famer. I'm gonna say that right now.
But he's in the discussion.
You have Kevin Love getting another ring. You got Bam getting his first, along with a lot of these other young guys.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the Heat's 4th ring as an organization. This will I can't pronounce his name, but the coach
Spoelstra.
He that'll be his 4th ring.
I think
he'll go down as another very great, very successful coach.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at the Nuggets as well. Jokic and Murray finally stopped the talks of they can't win they can't make it out, just like Joel Embiid. Like, y'all can't make it past whatever round. They're in the finals. If they win, they shut everyone up.
Yeah.
They get their first rings. The Nuggets get their first ever. How great would that be, going to your first finals and winning your first finals? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then both of these destinations become player friendly too. Like, okay, like we've seen what they can do. So dynasties can be set up for both, which I don't want to see happen, because I feel like that'll take away from a lot of the fundamentals that we see, but it still gives a lot of player option. And y'all said save it for the podcast, but Jimmy's retiring in 3 years.
I don't buy it.
He's done. I'm telling you, he's not playing for very long. I think once he gets his ring, maybe a year. Maybe he'll play 1 more year, 2 years.
I don't buy it.
You think he's in it for a bit?
Yeah.
He's been saying that a Heat jersey is the last thing he'll wear, like before he retires. So not saying that's helps my case or anything, but he also has his little business he's got going on with his little coffee shop or whatever that he's been getting very invested into. So if he wins a ring, why not? Why not get right into the business aspect and kind of do your
Maybe he
thing?
wants to win too, so he can be in the Hall of Fame discussion.
Yeah, I think if he wins one, he's gonna keep going because he wants more. And if he doesn't win, he's gonna keep going because he wants one. He's too competitive. He just be done.
Competitive. I'm telling you, 3 years and he's done. By what year is it? By 2026. By the end of the 2026 season.
All right, I'll mark it on my calendar. Get back to you.
We'll follow up with you at that point.
We will hear Jimmy Butler retires from the NBA. So there's my finals.
Any final thoughts that you have?
I'm just really excited for the series, and I think it's good for the game of basketball. I love Steph Curry and Dame and how exciting that is, but I think it's really cool just to see the fundamentals pay off and show that that does win championship and playing a role on a team and defense, all those little things can actually pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be super cool to see. I mean, one of the great things about sports and the reason we're so invested in them is because of that message of like your hard work pays off or whatever. And that's not to say if you lose the finals, you didn't put in hard work or whatever, but like, regardless, I think the point is regardless of who wins, that effort was worth it. And even if you don't, I mean, like to get there and to achieve what you've achieved, like Jamal going through what he went through with all of his injuries, for him to get full circle, to be a crucial part where you're not even in this position this year if you don't have Jamal Murray.
Right.
For him to win a title would be awesome. For Jokic to, the man got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Man, Taco Bell commercials are plaguing me this episode. Maybe it's a sign. But like for him to go through that, to come from where he came from and get there, that's super cool. For Bam to prove himself in the big moments when he's, people say he disappears in big games, for him to have a chance to disprove that, for Jimmy to go through everything that he's gone through with all like the effort he put in the bubble and seeing that fall flat would be super cool regardless. And I do think like, I feel like the moral of the finals, if they do write scripts for this finals, must be that like hard work pays off, because I think like it'd be super cool for any of them to get there.
Yeah. High school coaches are going to love this finals, because that's what my coach was always like, go back and watch these players. No, now they can say, no, go watch the finals right now.
Watch
be this week.
Get your point guards and say, go watch Jokic, be that man.
Oh, literally.
True.
Be the 7-foot Serbian.
Yeah.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Timeout.
Time.
Good job.
A great success.
Yeah. I don't want to hold your hair with my watch. Cool. You staying for Spider-Man album discussion?
Yeah, no thanks. That's my limit for the day. Hockey. I was gonna go watch the game, but they don't have it on the TV.
What channel's on?
You
You can download it and then sign in.
I tried.
Or you can watch it on your phone. You tried to sign in?
Well, it took me to the place and I had to put a code in, and then it told me to like put in the email address, and I put it in, and then it said send email. And I didn't want to send an email.
What email did you put in?
The one that they sent us for all the.
It's a different so it's not a login for ABC, it's a login for Xfinity.
Right.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know they sent. Was it the Dr. L. Vance?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
It's L. Vance.
could be mine.
Okay, let me send it to you real quick. All right, let's finish this thing off. All right. Mm-hmm.
I decided I'm just gonna cut all of that part out.
Yeah, well, I thought that was the plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
just so you know.
Do you want to stop it and then do a new one, or can you cut out the middle
Yeah,
section? Okay.
No.
All right, let's jump into this one and we'll
Dang
get it
it.
done quick.
Okay.
All right, so the last thing that we have here, this probably won't be that long because I guess I'm the only one that listened to it, but
Because someone didn't do what we were supposed to do.
no, it's cool. We'll
someone
cover a
is
little
me.
bit of it here, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, maybe in the context of the film next week. But Metro Boomin's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack album came out
Yep.
this week, along with the movie. And I did see the movie. We'll probably chat more about that next week once you've gotten a chance to see it. But I gave the soundtrack a couple listens. I think this is one that a ton of people, or at least us, have been super hyped for.
Yeah.
I consider the first one of my favorite movie soundtrack albums.
The Annihilate one.
No, the
you
first
mean the
Spider-Verse
first-
album.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. There's a ton of tracks on that I love.
Yeah.
Sunflower, obviously, tons of streaming records.
Yep.
There's a great Juice WRLD track on it. I don't have it all off the top of my head, but there's
Right.
some super good ones, some stuff I loved on there. It fit the movie super well. Like, it was just a super enjoyable, kind of upbeat album and project. So this one being produced by Metro Boomin, I didn't really know what to think, because I feel like when you have a specific person do the soundtrack, even if it is a producer with as much range and variety as Metro Boomin has, it limits a little bit of what you're able to do. Like, you just don't have, I feel like you don't have as much freedom, or at least you don't get as much freedom from all the different songs.
Right.
So I was just mostly curious, because I love a lot of his work. And the last soundtrack that I thought he did the Creed 2 soundtrack, but I think that was Mike Will made it. But anyways, I was just really curious to listen to this album. You said you listened to one song or no songs?
No, I listened to Self Love because that was one of that was actually the only song on New Music Daily from the album.
Yeah. I think there was one song that is in the movie that isn't on the album, and I think it's just because it wasn't produced by Metro Boomin, but it's called Mona Lisa by Dominic Fike.
Okay.
Anyways, that's not really pertinent to what you were saying, but so you listened to Coi Leray's self-love song off the album.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
That's not, and just because it's not my style of music.
Sure.
It was a beautiful song, like production wise.
Right.
I liked the production on it a lot. Song wise, just not my cup of tea. Yeah, it just not for me.
I will agree. I think it's hard not to talk about a soundtrack in the context of the movie, but I want to at least try to review it more as music and as an album than as just covering the movie.
Right.
But I do feel like there's two types of songs on this album, and it's very easy to discover when you listen to it. And it's movie songs, like songs that are in the movie.
Yeah.
And then soundtrack songs that he just wanted to put on the album that may be about the concepts that are in the movie.
Yeah. And Self Love is one of those movie songs.
Absolutely.
Like in the end of it, and I found out very quick because of the end of the song, it's Gwen Stacy or whatever you want to call her in this movie. She starts speaking.
Right.
I skipped right as I started hearing her voice. I was like, you're spoiling it.
So that is throughout the album. Actually, there's a bunch of closing remarks to each song by characters, and they're just kind of little snippets from the movie. I don't know that there's a whole lot of spoilers, but there is like some, I don't know, like, I guess it would definitely makes sense to listen to the album after having seen the movie to
Right.
feel like it progresses as a story. But I wanted to list a couple of the artists on this
Yeah.
album to kind of set the stage for my listening experience through
It's
it.
crazy. It's a crazy
Yeah.
list here.
Yeah. So the first track features Sway Lee, Lil Wayne, and Offset, followed by a song that has ASAP Rocky, followed by Future and Lil Uzi Vert. JID appears, James Blake appears, Nav, Don Toliver and Wizkid, Coi Leray, obviously we mentioned, and 2 Chainz and 21 Savage, as well as Nas, also have features on the album. And when I saw the track list, because the track list never came out before the album came out.
Yeah.
It just all came out when it dropped. And when I was reading through this, I think if I were to make a record label of what I would call streaky artists, like they make great songs or terrible songs, this may be the group that I would sign to that record label, because I love a ton of their stuff. I love a ton of 21 Savage. I love a ton of, I mean, Lil Wayne fans and Future fans are diehards, but let's be honest, they've got great legendary bodies of work. There's some boogers in there at some points.
Yeah.
Like
Every artist got it.
Yeah, everybody
artist
does.
got it.
Everybody does. So I was just like, I don't know. I was concerned and
Yeah.
curious to see how it would turn out. And it had its highs and lows.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I don't want to, like, I guess you can't really spoil an album because it's
Right.
just music, but like, I think my favorite track ended up being Am I Dreaming, which is the second song with ASAP Rocky and Royzy. And I'm not the biggest ASAP Rocky connoisseur. Like I said, I think he has legendary stuff that I
Right.
love. He also has a lot of stuff that I don't care for.
Right.
Royzy is an artist that I'm not super familiar with. The song gave me a lot of vibes from her that's similar to 070 Shake, who's kind of an R&B pop singer, or even like something that Sia might do at some point.
Gotcha.
But it just comes across really, really well. They complement each other super well. Metro's production on the album obviously is what stands out. And after seeing the movie, it does fit very well in the movie production wise.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's moments on it where I can tell this is not a Spider-Man into this, like, Across the Spider-Verse song.
Yeah.
And that includes, like, I mean, the most prominent example is the song Danger by Offset and JID on the album. Where
Isn't
it's,
that in the first one too?
is it in the
Danger.
Oh,
Danger.
that's on that. Yeah, Offset does have another song called Danger. I actually,
it's not from the first Spider-Man?
no, that's from
Or
the
is that
movie
from-
Bright,
That's right.
which is on,
Yeah.
which is a Netflix film.
That's
But
right. That's the Will Smith one, right?
yeah, and it was, I like, it's just a trap, like rap track that would not fit a cartoon Spider-Man movie in the slightest. That being said, it had some moments that I enjoyed. JID has a great verse on it.
Yeah.
The chorus is very bland but very catchy, like very repetitive. But it's like what I've come to expect from Migos and from Offset.
Yeah.
Though I will say, listening to Offset on this project, he has some solid moments and he appears on it a lot.
Yeah.
Him and 21
times.
Savage and ASAP Rocky and Don Toliver, I feel like, were all over this thing.
Yeah.
And Offset has some good moments, but it's moments like that when I really miss Takeoff from Migos, because I think he would have provided much better moments on this album. I feel like he would have complemented the artists that Offset was with much better, if not replacing Offset, at least with him. I may be mistaken, but I don't think Quavo's on the project at all. I think it was just Offset.
Yeah.
But there's some super good moments. I was really disappointed. The lowest moment, honestly, was Lil Wayne's feature for me on the first song.
That's unfortunate.
And when I looked and I saw Lil Wayne and ASAP Rocky, especially throughout this project, I was like really concerned that Metro just got them to make a bunch of double entendres about Mary Jane being marijuana. And I think there was only one. I think there was only one. So that's good.
That's off to them.
Yeah. But I mean, the album's not without its cheesy Spider-Man references,
You got it.
as it should. Like
Right.
that's the style.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
You have to.
Standout performances for sure from ASAP on that song. Am I Dreaming? All the Way Live is a decent song. Hummingbird was probably the biggest surprise to me. I have a lot of admiration and respect for James Blake, but I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan. Like I just don't necessarily vibe with all of that music all the time.
Right.
But it's a very intoxicating like listen. It's very vocally impressive, I would say. And Metro Boomin's production is an interesting complement to his vocals on it.
Right.
Sway Lee, who also is throughout this thing, kills pretty much every time he's on it. Like, I was a little disappointed. I think I may be mistaken, but I think that Sway Lee may have just been throughout this thing because Metro was trying to get another sunflower out of him.
Makes sense.
But I was a little disappointed that Post Malone wasn't in it at all if you were going to try to repeat that ever.
Right.
And not that you need to have them together. I just thought that Post Malone fit the vibe of that first soundtrack very well.
Do you think a song with Post Malone would have fit this soundtrack?
I think
him and Metro?
Yeah, I think it would have fit the film very well. Like I said, there's two such drastic sounds on the album, I feel like. But I do feel like Post Malone could have had a place, but after seeing the movie and listening to the album, I'm not torn that like I'm not broken up that he wasn't on it because I think they accomplish both things fine, and I don't think Post Malone needs to be on every single thing always.
Right.
But I do think he would have fit in well if they had put him on it.
But you're not like, oh, like they should have.
Yeah, they should have had him. No. I was just like, oh, if you're gonna reuse Sway Lee all these times, then you might as well like get the other guy in there too. But Sway kills most of his parts on the album, which cool. I was glad that he did. I mean, top to bottom, it was a good album. I wouldn't say great. I wouldn't say it was decent. It was good. Like it was better than decent. It was good. I don't know where it would fall like in my best albums of the year. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe.
Okay.
There's for sure some weak parts, some parts that I didn't really super care for. Some parts that are definitely like in it because they had a spot in the movie that may not be Metro's best work, but fit the movie really well.
Right.
So I found myself enjoying it. I like of the two collab producer soundtracks that I've heard this year, being Dreamville's Creed 3 and this one. I definitely think it was a little bit better personally.
You thought this one was better?
Yeah, I thought this one was better than Dreamville's.
Interesting.
And I did like Dreamville's project. I just felt like, I will say, I think there were better individual songs. Like I would say, if I had to pick favorite songs off of the two albums, Dreamville's album would have the best couple songs.
But as a whole
project, I think this one was a better project and a better body of work. But I found myself really enjoying it. It was interesting to me that I didn't know Metro was doing this album until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think like 2 weeks ago, me and you found out around like the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh shoot, like Metro's doing this.
Yeah, and when I did find that out, I feel like I remember hearing something about that like ages ago. Like, oh, Metro's going to do the soundtrack for the movie, and I was kind of like, oh, great, you know. I guess I'll see when I get there. But it was interesting because his last project just came out 6 months ago in December.
Yeah.
His last individual work, which had been a long time since he did another project before that. I think Savage Mode was the last one he did, which was
2018,
2019, something like that. It was a few years ago. And ironically, his album was superheroes and villains, and the whole promo was like comic book stuff.
Yeah,
and
literally.
So it was interesting. I didn't really put that together until after I listened to the album, but I found myself like, I don't know, I was worried that there would be throwaways from superheroes, or that like he, I don't know, maybe got a lot of inspiration for his last album from working on this movie or whatever. But it doesn't really feel like that. I will say there's his signature styles throughout it. Like you get a lot of those great trap, rap, hip hop beats from him.
Right.
But it feels like its own body of work, which was cool to hear. Like it's a unique sound that I haven't heard from him, but within his wheelhouse, and I found myself vibing with it. So
Cool.
I would give it a 7.
Nice. Did you download any songs? If so, which ones and how many, I guess?
Yeah, so I did like Annihilate, the first track,
Mhm.
excluding the Lil Wayne feature. And it's not that Lil Wayne was trash. I just felt like it didn't fit. And I
He
felt
didn't need to
like,
be there.
yeah, he didn't need to be there, and it wasn't his best work. And yeah, I didn't really care for his part necessarily, but it was a good song.
Mhm.
Am I Dreaming was my favorite one with ASAP.
Yeah.
I did keep All the Way Live with Future and Lil Uzi Vert just because it
Mhm.
was kind of fun. It was a cool sound. I also kept the JID track Danger,
Mhm.
despite the fact that I think it has its moments where Offset doesn't really perform that well.
Right. And for the fact that you hate JID. No,
Well,
I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
I don't know how that got lost in translation between us. Jaden thinks
Yeah,
I
I know.
hate JID, and I think JID is one of the best rappers right now. I just did put his album in my top 5 last year. Um, so honestly, like the first 5 tracks I kept and I liked a lot. I also liked Link Up,
Mhm.
though I think it's a little more repetitive.
Yeah.
And I kept Nas Morales, which is the closing
Yeah.
track with Nas, which felt a little out of place, but I think it's in the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Like I remember all of a sudden being like, "Whoa, this is a Nas song," but it fits. It fits in the movie at the point that it's in. So, the second half of the album was definitely weaker than the first for me.
Gotcha.
Which I feel like you get into a lot of those tracks that were in the movie and fit really well in the movie, but weren't necessarily like great Metro songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I kept, if that's correct, I think I kept 7 out of 13. So about half
Yeah.
the project.
Yeah. Not bad at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I know going into it, nothing really, actually, except that Lil Wayne doesn't do great.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other weakest track is Nonviolent Communication. I think it has ASAP and James Blake on it.
Mhm.
It's just a weird fit for both of them, and it didn't feel like it fit the movie, and it didn't feel like it fit the soundtrack, and I was just kind of like not really feeling it a whole lot.
Gotcha.
I didn't love Self Love, but I do think it was one of the better Coi Leray songs I've heard, which I'm not her biggest fan, but I think she did pretty well on it, and it fits in the movie really well at the part that it's in there.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of that kind of um, like Hispanic heritage kind of songs reflecting Miles Morales' character, which was really cool to find in the album. And I mean, we'll probably talk a little bit more about the album's place in the movie next week when we kind of
Right.
give our review there.
Yeah.
But all in all, I would say it's a good project.
Cool. Well, then I'm looking forward to it when I listen to it on Friday, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll get around to it sometime this upcoming week.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited for our conversation about the movie because
Me too.
there's been a ton of hype about it. The first movie was very hyped up.
Yeah.
It's done really well in the box office so far. So I think we'll have a good conversation about it next week.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about all I gotta say.
I agree, man. We'll wrap up here, but make sure you check us out wherever you get your podcasts. I think we're still working on YouTube.
Yeah,
We'll give it a look. We'll give it a
we're
look.
figuring it out. We're figuring it out.
You guys know, like we said, that we're still figuring this thing out, man.
Give us till episode 5 and we should have a maybe good idea about what we're doing.
Yeah,
here.
what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you could also find us at Instagram, TikTok, and well, I guess we already said YouTube.
YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, we at least got those going.
Yeah. I feel kind of like that episode of The Office where Andy comes back from his like 4-month boat trip.
Got like the beard and everything.
Yeah, he's got the beard and everything, and David Wallace is coming in for a meeting, and he writes up on the board, and he's like, "What is going on?" And he's like, "I need you guys to fill me in on what's going on." That's pretty much describes how Jaden and I are figuring out this podcast right now. But we're having a blast, and hopefully, whoever's listening enjoys listening. And
right. And if
we're just doing it for fun, even if you don't enjoy it, we don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, we do, but we're still gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
anyways,
tune in next week and hear how what we thought of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Absolutely. Goodbye.